Hello and thanks for staying with us. The Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service has said that very soon border operations in the country will continue to generate more revenue for the country. Also on Customs report, APAPA Customs Command impound a container with animal parts. Plus, more report. I am Igiseme Etinye. Stay tuned. The Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service has said that the recent treaty signed by all African countries will continue to improve on border relations all over Africa. The Customs Board says that the treaty will further improve the working relationship with other African countries. It speaks more on a number of issues at the conference.
Next is, of course, while Tariff and Trade Department is busy trying to collect every revenue that is collected, they need protection. We need to enforce compliance. And therefore, the second on the list is enforcement, investigation, and inspection department, the police. We must instill discipline. And I want to say, with all sense of responsibility, that I believe personally that I have no regret that we as management agreed to introduce the custom police as a unit that will instill this. They have been doing exceptionally well, and I believe their presence has tremendously contributed to our compliance and discipline. I therefore commend them and thank them for what they are doing. Then the seventh on the list is we are now getting to individuals who have performed exceptionally well. And as 2020, you know, one of our biggest problems has been the ravaging pandemic. And therefore, we cannot but give credit to the medical department for doing exceptionally well. And here we have Controller Nandam, who has done exceptionally well and is representing us at the CDC team. Then H is the CSC from. Then we of course have government agencies who have performed tremendously well that merit this certificate. Among them is the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, which is the CDC. Of course, if we would have not done justice to ourselves if we skip CDC, because they have been very active and they will continue to be active. Like I mentioned in the beginning, nobody knows the day COVID will be over. And therefore, this organization will continue to be relevant in our lives, and we must continue to listen to them. And we must continue to listen to the scientists and not behave like Trump, so that we can save ourselves and save this country. The next is Port Health Authority. This is also along the same process of protection and ensuring that we are safe in the course of doing our duty. Then the last list before me are the stakeholders. And these are freight forwarders, organizations that have contributed to our well-being and the performance of our duty, and of course, trade partners. Let me start with CETEX Medical. I knew they have donated so much of this equipment that we require to stay safe in the course of 2020. And therefore, they deserve a certificate of merit. The South Korean Embassy, thanks to my good brother and friend, we have enjoyed so much from them, from COVID protection equipment to vehicles, and of course, the last donation they did was to give $300,000 through the Nigerian Customs Service for the purchase of 30,000 test kits. That has been processed. Very soon, those test kits will be on our shows, and the donation has been done to the CDC committee, the task force. And so when they come, I'm sure they'll be landing at the port. So I'll crave the indulgence of our port command to ensure that we fast-track the process and bring them to the task force. We need test kits. We want to get to know how many of us are carrying this virus. More so that there are now so many variants of it. We have the Brazilian variant, we have the UK variant, we have the South African variant. We are yet to know whether we have a variant different in Nigeria because we do not have enough test kits. So we need those test kits to be able to know our situation and protect ourselves. We want to assure the public that we'll be coming into force of e-customs with robust support of the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank of Nigeria. And indeed, all Nigerians, Nigerian Customs Service will effectively deliver on its mandate. Here, I want to pause and say that what we leverage on is information. And of recent, we've discovered that fellow Nigerians seems to align with smugglers more than they do with authorities like customs. And we are appealing to border communities, most especially the leaders of border communities, to realize that customs and all other border management agencies are there to ensure their safety, their well-being, and most importantly, to ensure that they carry on their business, illegitimate business. But as long as some miscreants among them continue to embark on smuggling and illicit trafficking, we will have no cause to relent in our efforts to make sure that we enforce compliance. So I appeal strongly to our border communities to realize that it is in the interest of them, most especially, and the interest of the entire country, that our borders are kept safe and well protected. So we therefore join them, to join hands with our officers and men, and give as much information and stop aligning with smugglers.
You are watching the program Customs Report. The APAPA Customs Command has intercepted a container loaded with animal parts, which include pangolin scales worth over 1 billion naira. The controller has this to say. The custom boss says that the seized container was processed for export, was falsely declared as furniture component in an attempt to evade arrest. So this man has to subject the container to 100% physical examination. It was found to contain 162 sacks of pangolin scales and 57 sacks of mixed endangered species of various sizes of dead animals.
We saw the log, we removed the logs, then we start discovering the sacks. We opened, we discovered the pangolin scales, the elephant tusk, or ivory, whatever you call. Then we equally saw some skeletons and some bones. Look at it. Apart from even the wildlife itself, it has even contravened the export procedure. Because if you look at this, it's a false declaration. Because the log is not even up to 5% of the content of the container. That was why even in their declaration on the NXP, they indicated that they have furniture components. But if you look at the logs, how many of them? Just imagine the size and how it will cover the whole size of the container from the beginning, you know that they have something to hide.
The customs area controller noted that the compression of international trade endangered species entails that customs administration all over the world protect wildlife by intercepting illegal trade on such animals like barcoding scales. The seized items are used by Chinese for traditional medicine.
My colleague, Controller Alpha, who is our representative in WCO, posted an article written by a newspaper in Malaysia, where a container was intercepted. The container left Nigeria originally destined for Vietnam, but the Royal Malaysian Customs intercepted that container. So when I saw that write-up, I got in contact with Controller Alpha, and I advised that he should meet the Malaysia representatives in WCO so that we'll be able to know the particulars of that particular container and where it departs Nigeria. So he had a lot of correspondences with them, and they equally gave the container number, and he forwarded the details of those correspondence to me, and I immediately swung into action. We were able to get the address of the exporter, the name, but the name doesn't look Nigerian. And the address is quite a vague address. We could not even make any headway on that. But despite that, I wrote an incident report to the headquarters, informing them of what we discovered. And after that, we decided to put our eagle eyes on all exports going to Asia. And we've been targeting this for quite some time. And luckily enough, we got a credible intelligence on this one. Then we allow it to come in before we intercepted it. And if you look at the NXP used, what they declare was furniture components. But if you go to the container, you'll be able to see how they did the concealment. They were able to put some log of woods at the front of the container. Then after that, you see the sacks of the pangolin scales and other items that are therein. Upon 100% examination, it was found to contain 162 sacks of pangolin scales weighing 8,800 kg, 57 sacks of mixed endangered species of various sizes, such as ivory stroke animal horns, lion bones, etc., destined for Hai Phong, Vietnam. 854,719 tons and valued at 952 million naira. We arrived at this figure because 1 kg of pangolin scale in China is being sold at $550 as of 2019. Then in Malaysia, $500 per kg of pangolin scale, while in Vietnam, it's about $149. So we took the average of $282. So that's how we arrived at the 952 million naira as the value. The Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species entails that custom administrations all over the world protect wildlife by intercepting illegal trade on such animals. Pangolin, scaly, shy, and sensitive are believed to be the world's most trafficked non-human mammals, accounting for as much as 20% of all illegal wildlife trade. Their scales, which are made of keratin, the material in fingernails, have no scientifically proven curative properties, but are in high demand for use in traditional Chinese medicine. Consequently, all 8 species are threatened with extinction. Despite the 2017 ban on international commercial trade of pangolin scales, experts estimate that more than 1 million pangolins were poached from 2000 through to 2014. Presently, one suspect, Mr. Felix Oname, a male of number 17 Chief Joseph Ude Street, Igando, Lagos, is currently in detention and is being interrogated. After due investigation, the service headquarters will take necessary action in line with environmental laws, guidelines, protocols, conventions, and treaties on environment.
He said that the seizure is in line with the provision of Section 147 of Customs and Excise Management Act, Cap 45, Laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 2004. The Customs Area Controller in charge of PTLM has been speaking on issues concerning his command. The command generated over 187 billion naira in 2020 and made a seizure of over 200 million naira at the port.
Firstly, we have to say that the Controller of Customs, Colonel Ibrahim Hamid Ali, and his entire management has put enough, they have done a lot for officers in terms of welfare to serve as encouragement for commitment, diligence, and patriotism. Patriotism has been a very strong push for us, especially in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. We are aware that the nation relies so much on us for revenue sustenance to a very large extent, and we cannot afford to fail the country. So we saw it as a challenge that this is the time to stand for the country. It's one of the push factors we had. Then secondly, with that push factor, what we did was to put in place a very strong team that works seamlessly. There was something I referred to as structural functionalist approach. And what does it mean? We have different units, different sections. Making use of these different sections, we have been able to, we allow each and every of these units to perform its function effectively, but in synergy. So with no gap, because we know that the weakest link of the chain will be the strength of the chain. So we have been able to build a strong team that we relate closely, we work together seamlessly, and we give information timely. So areas of revenue leakage we were able to handle, and that we have done effectively to a very large extent. There will always be deviant, but we have structures to check this so that the little revenue coming in, available, we don't allow them to be frittered away. So we captured the revenue into the national purse, and that accounts, because when we did a comparison on cargo throughput, we discovered that there was no really expansion in importation between 2019 and 2020. We did a comparative analysis. We discovered that the importation was almost at the same level, 2019 and 2020. So it was that encouragement from the service, from the management, push not to let the country down, all coupled together, made us to work to see that at the end of the day we were able to do what we did. Yeah, we placed much emphasis on capacity building among our officers, but our stakeholders too are not left behind, especially the freight forwarders. We engage them, we advise them that where if they have areas they need to understand better, let us know we are available to engage with them in capacity building for their members. Occasionally some of them do come around, and we preach compliance, and we let them know the derivatives, what they stand to gain if they are compliant. One, they will save a lot of time. because if there are limited level of intervention, or if there are no interventions at all because of compliance, it means they will spend less time, and spending less time means they will save a lot in terms of demurrage, both at the shipping company and the terminal. So all these things we have been preaching to them. We engage their leadership too, to preach to them and let them know that we are always here to guide them where they have less information or where they don't have enough information to process. Our doors are opened. Anybody can enter into my office to lay bare his complaint, or if he has information he wants to know, and door is open. The same thing, the officer in charge of the CPC, the DC Revenue, people go to him, gets insult. Valuation, the same thing, and terminal heads, because we are not their bosses. We have to work with them. We have to work for them. This we have been doing. So these are some things that we have made them to realize. And for our economic operators, they are highly compliant, so we don't have much issues. And for maybe out of knowledge, if any of them has issue of misclassification, once we point all those things out, they are always ready to pay the revenue.
The Customs Area Controller in charge of ONE2 has commended the newly elected officers of Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents. He was represented at the occasion by one of the officers present at the inauguration of the newly elected officers.
In the country to a very large extent. So this organization called the Maritime Industry, where APAPA fits in, is a very important one. Now to the elections being conducted here today. I wish ANEC sent representatives to witness this too. I was very observant. I was watching with keen interest on how the election was being conducted. I must say it's a very credible one. And then by the time the results are announced, the president said that there are no losers, there are no winners. But those who have been elected into offices, it's an opportunity for you to prove your methods. It's an opportunity for you to ensure in your respective commands that you uphold the standards of APAPA. There is a very important area I would like your organization to address, and that's the congestion in the ports. Because when there are fast exiting of containers, then there will be more containers to come in. I don't know how that will be done, but the terminal operators needs to have a very strong dialogue with your organization in respect of that, so that there will be pre-clearance of goods. I was talking to...
Just before the end of this week's edition of the program Customs Report, we brought you a report where a container loaded with pangolin scales was intercepted by APAPA Customs Command, and the container is worth over 1 billion naira. For me, Igiseme Itinye, thanks for watching.